Now let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Just like the teacher said, my name is Frida Cálix Ligonio, and I'm a proud student of economics in this university. Today, I'm going to explain to you the Sustainable Development Goal number 9, also known as SDG number 9. But first, let us have a little bit of context. Does it move? Okay, let's go. The SDG number 9 is one of the 17 goals listed on the Agenda 2030. And what is the Agenda 2030? Well, according to the United Nations webpage, it's a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. Next slide, please. Next. Thank you. So, the main things to do with this agenda is, first, to end poverty, to end hunger, to combat inequalities within and among countries, and for sure, to create inclusive, justice, and peaceful societies. This agenda is also a 15-year-old plan. It was approved on September 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly, as you can read there, and it was implemented by the 193 member states, among which Mexico is part. So, just as the name says, the goals must be reached between now and 2030. So, the Sustainable Development Goal number 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. What they all mean? Well, what the SDG number 9 is looking for the first point, the industry, is to make a sustainable and inclusive industry, which means more jobs, but with a clean growth in the industrial sector. The second point, innovation, includes the upgrade of the information in technological and scientific investigations. The third one, last but not least, the infrastructure. It doesn't just focus in factories or the industrial sector, but also in housing and communication lines that are resilient and sustainable for us. And I will say that the most interesting part, or at least for me, are the relation between the last two, the innovation and the infrastructure. And I'll dare to say they are directly proportional. I will explain this to you. When a city has a good and a functional infrastructure, well, that will make this city an easy target for the business and education. Then innovation will eventually appear, either in an economic or an investigative way. But on the other hand, next slide please. Thank you. Having innovation can create changes. If you have a city, and this city has projects, innovation projects, then the government will have to make those changes in the infrastructure for all the future jobs. So, I will reframe all this with what happened in USA in 1956 with the President Dwight Eisenhower. What did he do? Well, according to the Global Infrastructure Hub, the President Eisenhower predicted that a government investment in infrastructure had the power to stimulate the economy in a short term and create the prosperity for the future generations. So, what was the project? An interstate highway system. And the lasting effects of that decision were profound, both for American economy and the moral of its people. So, we can conclude from this that having well-planned streets and nice buildings can make a macroeconomic increase. And for the short term, for deployment, and in the long term, for the wealth. So, the key, or at least for me, I'll have to say, for the SDG number 9 to succeed is planning, but not just a mediocre planning. We will have some elements here and we will get to that, but I will give you 2 examples of what to do and not to do. Let's start with what not to do. Next, please. Thank you. Okay. What happens when a city is having a fast road but doesn't invest in a public infrastructure? Well, we will get Villahermosa, sadly. And don't misunderstand me. I'm South Kenya, I love my culture and I love my state. But I do see how the mistakes of the past administrations affect the city in our days. So that's what not to do. But when these old mistakes started, with the oil boom in the late 70s, we all know this topic. The oil boom was the one who put Villahermosa on the map because it was an easy target for the oil investments. So what happened with it? It brought growth, economic and populational terms. Next slide, please. Thank you. It was very important. The oil boom was significant here. Even the New York Times published about us in 1979. What this newspaper emphasized is that Mexicans had a new hope for the new oil discoveries. But as far as we know and live, that didn't last long. Yes, the oil boom brought with it a little growth, but it was so ephemeral that it ended up having more disadvantage in the long term for us. And next slide, please. Uribe, a journalist from here, he said that the oil boom that Tabasco experienced during the last decades caused a series of accelerated demographic changes and a significant increase in the floating population. I already give you here the data from INEGI that how much the city grew. Well, in 1980, we were about 158,000 people just here in Villahermosa. But 10 years later, we have an increase over 100%. Why? Well, the census counted 261,000 people just in Villahermosa. And the oil boom wasn't just here. It was also Paraíso, Cundocán, Mandillo, Cárdenas. But we increased all this just in the city. If you need another data, I will give you the Pemex. They say that in 1980 they hired 19,000 workers, and only 41% were from Tabasco. The remaining 59% were from other states. We can see here that there was a lot of people coming from all over the places. And guess what? The government wasn't prepared for all this growth. It wasn't prepared for all these people to come. So they got a problem. They have to give this they have to give all these new people all the public services that the government has to give, you know? So what did they do? They just started to build in a very irresponsible way. Why? Well, the fastest and cheapest way to do it was to construct or build in the lowlands that serve as a buffer areas for rivers and lagoons. And how do we confirm that? Every rainy season of the year. Why? Because the city ended up flooded. And this is one mistake, just one. This picture here that you see is from 2007. And it's 2022, and this thing is still like that. It hasn't changed, sadly. So the next mistake, our everyday bread in Villahermosa, the potholes. Yes, they say good morning to you. Yeah, you tell me I say, oh, a pothole. Thank you. If you go to the little towns around Villahermosa, it's kind of usual to see the sinkholes. And these things are dangerous because they mean that you can lose your house anytime. And the ones that I hate the most, sewage problems. They are not only just disgusting, they are also a health problem for the people that live near these things. So these are all these mistakes. We can conclude from all of these that without a well-planned public infrastructure, we only get the short-term benefits. But in a long term, in a future term, to repair all these mistakes will be expensive. And besides that, we will have more waste. And more waste means more contamination. And more contamination is exactly what the SDG number 9 doesn't want. So let's go to another example. What to do. Okay, what happens when a city wants innovation and invests in a public infrastructure? Well, our answer is in Cancun in Quintana Roo. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, unlike Tabasco, Quintana Roo is characterized by having a strong tourism, especially Cancun, that is a beautiful city with gorgeous beaches. So it is not surprising that every year they have a huge influx of people, both nationals and foreigners. But the thing here is that how did a small rural town became this massive international city with a lot of economic exchange? Well, because Cancun was thought and built to do so from scratch, and I mean it. Next slide, please. I will tell you a little bit of history of Cancun. A city from scratch. Cancun was a project. According to the information of Coordinación General de Comunicación in Cancun, it was the year of 1969 when the Bank of Mexico decided to buy this huge ranch whose economic activity was the cultivation of coconuts. So it was almost a deserted island, as you can see from the picture right there. So Bank of Mexico wanted a tourism project, and there were a lot of people involved here. Financials, lawyers, urban planners, marketers, and even politicians contributed their knowledge to build this new project, this very new city. So it is not surprising to see comments just like this one. Next slide, please. Thank you. Martí, a journalist from Cancun, who said, Cancun is perhaps the best planned city in the history of Mexico. The creators of Cancun wanted to found a perfect city, and they almost got it. We will get to that. But you can see how much Cancun has grown. This is when they discovered Cancun. It was just an island. It doesn't have anything. But years later, we have this massive city with a lot of hotels, pretty streets, a lot of people. Oh wow, innovation, right? Next slide, please. Thank you. Coming back with the history, Javier Rojo Gomez, the governor of back then, declared, and I will have to read it. Everyone predicts that if a tourism program is carried out with vigor and in the right way in the Mexican Caribbean, this area of the country, in a few years, will be the attraction of the world, with all the economic and social advantages that the same will bring. Sadly, he died before the foundation of Cancun, and I will say he was the most excited about this project. But I also say that he was a prophet, because nowadays we can see the wealth of the local economy of Cancun, and we can also see and appreciate the importance that this city has for the macroeconomic of Mexico. Next slide, please. Thank you. Maria Bagliasindi, the Chief Economist Office of the World Bank, says that investments in all types of infrastructure, this means roads, bridges, streets, energy, etc., represent an essential input in any production of goods and services, and Cancun being the perfect example of what she said, especially with the service sector being their main source of income. If you have visited Cancun, you can see a lot of tourism, restaurant industry, and transportation. They're very easy to find. But Cancun, besides all these sustainable things, all the founders that thought about the growth and the investments, Cancun is still not the perfect example for the SDG number 9. Why? Our answer is in the target 9.4. A moment, please. We have technical problems. We'll have to wait a little bit. No, I almost. Wait. I can still explain it if you want it. So, the target 9.4. What does it say? Well, in a nutshell, the growing besides of being sustainable, it must be clean and conscious. And what I have been telling you almost the whole presentation, Cancun is growing fast. Thank you, thank you. The next one. Yes, this one. So I already told you what does it says, but I will repeat it. The growing, besides of being sustainable, it must be clean and conscious. And Cancun is growing fast. And it's a new city. And if you can imagine how much new I mean, Cancun, no, sorry. My dad is older than Cancun. Here, yeah. Here is my dad. Yes, my dad is older than Cancun. This is a pretty new city. Thank you, Papi. So, it's growing pretty fast in a very short time. And this growth has led to the next disadvantage. The next slide, please. Thank you. So, yes, Cancun is a pretty city with nice streets and all that, but it's easy to see trash in the main streets and avenues. So the soil contamination by garbage, it was just a question of time. Social degradation. We already know this one. Mexico and its own social problems. Traffic overcrowding and overcrowded population, especially in the holidays with all the visitors and the tourists that go to the beach for relaxing. And the last one, susceptible to climate change. Sargassum, hurricanes, and heat waves are the new terrors of the coastal zone. So, thank you. From these examples, we can see that our planning must have three indispensable things. Sustainability. How can I make this place self-efficient? The second one, social and environmental responsibility. That the gap in quality of life between the richest and the poorest are the bare minimum. And the one that was missing from Hermosa, the future vision. How much do I expect this place to grow? And how I am going to prepare myself to have the least environmental impact. Considering these three things, we will get a transformative infrastructure. The next slide, please. Thank you. I know, it's a lot of words, but to paraphrase a little of what the Global Infrastructure Hub says, is that a transformative infrastructure has 5 principal aspects. The first one is that it provides lasting social and economic values for everyone. The second, that it responds to the future trends and challenges, and for the same thing, here goes the third one, adapt to the technological improvements. So, a transformative infrastructure is also socially inclusive. Here is the fourth one. I just told you that. Sorry. Therefore, here is the last one, the 5th one, is longer lasting and resilient. So, in a nutshell again, provide, respond, adapt, inclusive, and resilient are the 5 main things for a transformative infrastructure. So from there, we will get to the economic perspective. The next slide, please. The economic perspective. Having a sustainable and a transformative infrastructure, we will have the next benefits. Reducing the cost of delivery goods and facilitating the physical mobility of people and produce. This means less traffic means less noise means more peace, and that in a city is a lot to say. The second part, removing barriers to productivity and increase competitiveness. What does it mean? Well, that we will get better quality products with a reasonable price. And with this inflation, that's a lot to say too. And that will be all on my part. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Frida, for this excellent and amazing presentation. As a suggestion, at the end of all the participants, maybe we can have questions and answers, if you don't mind. Yeah. So let's continue with our program, and we will give the floor to another excellent student that she's going